Brandon, we've saved what, $1,600?
Yep. I'm gonna try this at home.
No. Try it at home. Why not? I mean, you saw us do it. It's not that hard. You just don't put your fingers under anything heavy, like the whole dyno. Welcome to the shop. I'm Jared, and this is Wrench Every Day. As you can tell by the scenery behind me and the occasional chickens in the background, we're not in Florida. We're back at Site B. Got something really exciting to share with you guys. As we've kind of hinted at, we're getting a dyno here at Site B. It's been dropped off outside. It's made some chaos inside as we're getting ready for the install, but we wanted to share that with you. So I'm going to show you real quick everything wrapped up outside, and then as we're progressing forward, getting it installed, I get to show you some of the cool stuff about a dyno and what it actually does for us. What we have is a Mustang MD1100 SE, is its actual model number. This section here is the actual dyno. What this is back here is the lift assembly for it and a tie-down cage, so when the cars are on it, we can strap them down nice and safe to do power pulls. When you have a dyno, you're able to do a couple things. You can have an above ground, below ground mounting, where this whole assembly would actually be in the ground, so this would be level. One thing I really like about an above ground setup is if you have a small problem that you need to slide under the car, you're able to do that because the bottom of the car is actually going to be sitting that high off the ground. Doesn't look like much outside in the leaves, wrapped in tarps, a little wet, but as we start getting the equipment out here to get this moved inside, we'll get to show you some really cool things about it. That's your big drum, rolls back and forth. That's where obviously your tires are gonna run. We've got cool little features again about this dyno that as it gets inside, as it starts to unwrap, we're gonna go over and show you the real cool features of it. The biggest thing that's nice about this dyno is it's able to do what's called steady state, where it actually applies a brake against the car to better simulate it going down the road instead of just relying on the weight of the actual drums. This dyno specs is 1750 horsepower steady state, which means it can brake against 1750 horsepower. It maxes out at 2500 horsepower, so I don't know how quickly we're going to be building something to hit those numbers, but it'd be fun to give it a try and see if we can't peg it out someday. So let's get on with the install. All right, it's time for us to get all the heavy equipment inside. We were trying to hire someone to do this for us, and they kept taking too long, and it's been sitting in the rain for a week and a half, and we got tired of it. So we went and picked up Bobcat with some forks. First order of business is we're going to get the 4-post lift arms and ramps off of the strapping cage. That goes in first. Then we've got to figure that part out, the 6,000-pound monstrosity. We got Brandon, we got my father-in-law Dwayne.
Hey.
We've got Pira, who is busy running around with a rag. We're gonna cut to getting some of this stuff taken care of and bring you along. So that's a little bit scary. It all went according to plan. It never does, but we've got her actually set back in location. Originally, we had talked about using it in this corner of the shop, but there's some houses that are set off a little bit, and we figured mounted here, we'll put the exhaust fans actually in the wall directly behind it, and if we come outside, all you've got is an ugly box truck and a field. We thought for the neighbor's sake that'd be a lot nicer. We've got to go ahead and bring in the rest of the uprights, but we're actually not going to put that in today. We've got a company that's going to come out and actually level the dyno and secure the lag bolt so it's bolted firmly to the ground. We just really wanted to get it out of the weather. Brandon, we've saved what, $1,600?
Yep. We'll try this at home.
No, try it at home. Why not? I mean, you saw us do it. It's not that hard. You just don't put your fingers under anything heavy, like the whole dyno. We've got that in. We're gonna move the ramps in and just set them on the ground and get the actual installers to come in, drop the leg bolts and level it. It's kind of cool to have the dyno here at Site B now. All right, so more fun in the dyno installation saga. It's apparently really hard to give people money to install equipment. We've been calling 2 different places and told them it's in place. All they need to come and put a 4-post lift together, level, and bolt it to the ground, and we can't get any responses or any actual commitments. I need to get this installed so we can get back to Earl and then good old Honda Rousey. Did a quick measurement. First things first is we need to square the big body dyno to the wall. We are about 3 inches diagonal. So I'm actually gonna pick it up and just kind of scoot it a little bit closer. We'll do that on time lapse. Once I get that into position, we'll actually work on building out our 4-post. We'll put our cross beam into this section, set up our post with cross beams here, and then I'll actually use my cherry picker and we'll pick up the beams, turn them sideways, and get that 4-post put together. Once everything is assembled, we'll be able to come back a little bit later with a level and the hammer drill our holes and bolt it to the floor. And then, hopefully, the electrician will come out and actually put power to it. And then we can make some power poles. All right, quick update. I tried to lift that solo, and that didn't work too well. So I called Brandon and Scooby, Controlled Motors friends, back over. So we've got that stood up. We've got ramps bolting in. We're working on getting the release in. They're gonna have to actually run back to the shop to build fast cars, and then I will get the cables mounted up, finish tightening the hydraulic. I'll probably need to top up a little bit of the hydraulic oil. We've dribbled some. So we can get the lift actually operational, because this lift, like the bend packs that Tavarish has in Florida, can actually be freestanding. They're welded on that point, and we're not going to move that dyno in any capacity. So we'll get things together, get it leveled, tightened up, and pick a car up here pretty soon. All right, so we've got cables to their plates, power to the box. I had to fix the switches where they had gotten pulled out in transport. So if you look, our lift cables are actually look like they're too long, and that's because we actually have the lift up while the ram isn't pulled all the way out. So what we're gonna do is slowly run the lift, and it's gonna start to move that ram and pull those cables tight. And we have to go slow, make sure everything lines up. And then what we'll end up working on is leveling the locks, leveling the actual cables and deck. All right, it's moving slowly. There's gonna be a little bit of air, and hopefully there's enough fluid, because we have lost some, so we may need to run and get some hydraulic oil. Okay, she's moving. All the cables are currently living in the right pulley holes. We just still need to keep on pulling it up a little bit more. Oh boy, that is slippery. We've all hit that a bunch. Maybe I just need to put some kitty litter down instead of cardboard. All right, we're pulling, and we're getting tight. Okay, before we go too much tighter, it's still how it's supposed to be. Oh, see, the reason you go slow, this cable has come out of its pulley. So what we'll actually need to do is lower, get some tension back on it, get it fed back into its hole, and go back to lifting on it. Making slow progress, but we're getting there. Well, he's not running, but Earl, he's on a dyno, so that's kind of exciting, right? We've got a little ways to go for full-on power poles. We've got the electrician who actually is gonna come in. That might be a professional that might finally show up for us. We're gonna order 2 nice large ventilation fans, and we're gonna put them directly in the wall. Won't help much with Earl's side exhaust, but most cars will fume out quite well. A little bit different of an episode. It's kind of exciting to have a dyno at our full disposal here at Site B. Any of the projects we've got, Tavarish is already saying he's planning on running up some of his cars from Florida because we can play on a dyno. Why not? That's going to do it for this episode of Wrench Every Day. Appreciate you hanging out with me. Like to remind you to always make questionable choices, and just because they say you can't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't.